Hi, everyone. Welcome to this session today. I see that you are already starting to join the Menti that we have for you today. And well, you will find as a first thing a bunch of Nicolas Cage emotions. So that's fully intentional. We have here at Mentimeter a big fan base of Nicolas Cage. But let us know, while you enjoy that, let us know where are you coming from today. I see in our work cloud a few of the colleagues that I get to work with, some universities. Good to have you here. Let's give it another minute and then we'll start with today's session on how to create belonging. All right, let's go for it. Welcome again. And here we got, well, a lot of universities are visiting us today in this webinar. And what we're going to discuss today is creating belonging by design. How can we bring human-centered teaching in uncertain times? Why is it important? And of course, how can Mentimeter can help you to achieve this goal? My name is Marlene. For those that don't know me, I get to work with universities that are enjoying already Mentimeter services. And well, I have the joy to discuss with them a lot of topics on how education is changing in our modern times, the challenges that we get to see, not only when it comes to technology, but also other social factors around education and having the new professionals of the future. So that's part of what we want to discuss today. You may know by now we have, and it's a good opportunity also to present the new look that we have given to our QR code. If you are an old fan of us, you will remember that it used to appear in the corner of the screen, but now we're giving it a cleaner and slimmer look. We're putting it now on the right side of the screen. So be welcome to scan this code to join me, or you can also join going to menti.com and insert the numeric code that you get to see right there. You'll get to see in your devices this little chat icon where you can drop your questions at any time. Here I have with me my colleague Austria. She will be moderating these questions, mostly just to avoid duplicates and to make sure that we stay on topic. And then you will be able to see these questions from your peers. You can upvote them if this is something that you're also wondering about. Then remember that the one that gets more votes gets to show on top of the list for me. You can also drop some comments and questions on the chat and live stream. Is that what you want? But of course, we want to see your queries here in Menti too. We are recording this session, so do not worry if your colleagues are not here with you. We can always send you this link, and then you can share and spread the joy with them. Good. How are we going to navigate this topic today? Let's start on understanding why belonging matters now, particularly in these times in the sector of education. Why is it important to create then this sense of belonging, not only for the academics, but also for the students? For this, it will be very useful to start getting to know students as people. We know that the dynamics that we have in the classroom shape a lot of the results and impact greatly in the success of the courses and, of course, in the academic achievement. Then how can we transition then for such to stage? How can we create these conditions and help yourself to navigate this way of working in the classroom, bringing more of a human-centered approach in your teaching? We're going to review also how formative assessment can help us to create this practice for belonging. And then we're going to see also how can we turn insights into action. Good. Let's go for it. First, I would like to hear from you. When you hear sense of belonging in higher education, what does it come to mind? What are you thinking around belonging? Good. We start seeing a few interesting words here: community, engagement, inclusion, trust, feeling that you matter, having a brave space. Good insights here. No, for sure. And here we start seeing a little bit more of a pattern by bringing community more into the center together with inclusion, identity, inclusivity. It is actually really tough times for us as a society. There is no particular country that I can pinpoint that is having it worse. But for sure, we're seeing different changes around our society that is also being reflected in our classrooms. So to create this sense of community and bringing all people together matters more than ever, if I may say so, in the last decades. So let's get to understand why exactly is that we want to work and create conditions for belonging. In higher ed, we are navigating uncertainty for sure. We get to see, and you can confirm this in the chat. Having more enrollment pressure, we get to see less and less students joining academic programs, even less concluding those studies successfully all the way through the end. We get to see burnout, not only from students, but also from our academic staff. We see AI disruption. We are in this weird transition where now we have understood that it is there for us. How can we make it a tool that can benefit us? But also, how can we catch up with the speed that this tool is advancing? We are also having, for the same reason, the students having higher expectations from higher education. They really want to see and have clear guidelines and pinpoint the benefits of going through the university and having an academic degree at the end of the span of 3-4 years. All of these raise questions that are very difficult to answer. So starting with creating this sense of belonging can help us navigate these uncertain times. Here you can see some of the articles and news that we get to hear, and in particular, when I get to talk with my colleagues in my partners in the universities that work with me, I get to hear these more and more often. How it's getting more complicated to find meaning in the classroom, and how can we bring and create impact for the students. So here, this is something that you already mentioned. When we talk about belonging, we're talking about feeling seen, creating a safe space, and putting this condition of everybody matters in the room. So it's important that we create those conditions to make everyone feel seen, try to dare to speak up and try to ask the questions that they may have, also try new ways of working. This is also something that we get to hear a lot. The transition between different teaching strategies, it's been a challenge for sure in the universities. Partly because it was a trigger under very harsh conditions. I think that the pandemic pushed us all to start thinking different ways in order to continue studying and continue working with our students on the distance. And that kind of forced us to find new ways. And now that we have embraced them, now it's also the challenge of how do we fit in different formats, how are we delivering knowledge and trying to make sure that your students are actually learning from you. We also want to create this connection between the peers and the instructor. If part of what I just mentioned now, it's also disrupting in the way we teach, let's say, the connection or the dynamics in the classroom. In the past, it was pretty much accepted and understood that the teacher was that figure that would probably do a monologue about whatever topic, and what they said is what it was, right? That was the thing to understood and to accept. And now we've seen that we are trying to transition more into dialogues, into conversations, where we can learn not only from the structure, but also from your peers as a student. Therefore, we need to create also spaces where participation can succeed and where it's accepted. And of course, here I'm talking about a high social risk. And with this, we mean exactly that, that you can ask your questions without feeling that you're going to be maybe question about it or put on the spot or trying to motivate further on your thinking or your questions. But it's more about having this certainty that maybe something that I'm wondering about, it's also something that others are thinking around. Good. This is how we come to this conclusion at Mentimeter. Belonging then is not a nice to have, but it's a foundational to learning, persistence, and well-being. And here, I want to stress that it's always a two-way street. We're not only talking about the safetyness and well-being of the students, but also we're including here the instructors, the teachers, all of our academic staff. I can see and I get to hear in a lot of my conversations how teachers, the struggle that they have is that they also don't feel seen by the students. And I can reassure you that many times you have asked a question, something like, "Are we clear? Any comment? Any question?" That's silence. So I can understand how that can also put you in the spot of not knowing if the strategy that you're following it's on the right track, or how can we bring people together and actually trigger that conversation with your students. Good. So if let's talk about then your current situation. To what extent do you feel that your students experience a sense of belonging in the classes today? Here we have hidden responses. So let's give it, maybe if we get up to 20. All right, let's get to see how your peers are responding today. Good, we get to see 4.8, a little bit closer to a very much sense of belonging in this graph. But if we zoom in, we'll get to see also that the distribution of these answers, it's a scatter, meaning that we also see a few of our colleagues struggling with this sense of belonging in the classroom. Very good. Wherever you are in the scale, we also want to bring contributions. So a small shift in this graph is what we want you to achieve. How are we going to make that change? And a first very good step is to get to know your students as people. As I mentioned before, the dynamics in the classroom are definitely transitioning and changing as we are also changing our ways of learning, our ways of teaching. So this is something that we need to think about when we enter the classroom and we get to see our students. Think about people first. Why does this work? First of all, because it increases the psychological safety in the classroom by putting, let's say, a more horizontal relationship where it is safe to look to your left and to your right, and whomever is there is someone exactly like you in terms of their knowledge that they may have or the contribution that they can do to your teaching and learning. This way, we can also build relational trust and then make participation feel worth it. If we get to see that if that teacher, for example, is not open to getting more questions in the classroom or maybe question some of the methods, then it's difficult to open up and make any suggestion if it's already a dialogue that has been closed. So if we enter the classroom with this attitude and understanding that all of us are, first of all, people and humans that wants to get out of this classroom knowing something else, something new, that's a very good first step to create this sense of belonging. For example, we can drop this question, and it's actually a question that I have for you today. Dropping here one small thing that brought joy to you this week. It's a Wednesday, so we're in the middle of the week. How is it going? So let us know here. We love to see when we get peers that enjoy their work. We see teaching here. Sunshine, where are you in the world? Because this is not Sweden. I can tell you that none of our Swedish partners are responding this way. But good to know that sun still exists somewhere else in the world. That means that soon enough we'll get some over here in the Nordics. Time with your kids, that's also very important, understanding and bringing again this matter of seeing people as people, first of all. So also the students to show yourself as a regular human being that has also life out of the classroom and has a whole family dynamic out there. You have your own hobbies, and of course that also adds up, because every time we learn from our own experience and also from our personality. So mixing all of this and having this diversity background to learn from can only bring positive things. Now you're bragging. I see a lot of sunshines here, and this is getting bigger. And I think it's just for us in the Nordics, making us feel bad. All right, good. But this is a very good way how we can start kind of even the situation or the relationship in the classroom. As you can see, this is a very informal question that is bringing us all together. We get to hear how others are feeling, and it's kind of breaking that barrier or that tension that we may have when we enter the classroom. And if we jump directly into the topic, then it feels that, we have a purpose, and the purpose is not necessarily about me. Very good. This is something that Daniel Roca, this is an instructor in cyber defense and cloud administration in Canada. They get to, he gets to start his sessions this way. He was just sharing with us the way he works with Mentimeter and all of the benefits that he sees using this tool exactly for the purposes we're discussing today. You can find the extended story in our blog in mentimeter.com, but let me give you some highlights about his experience. So he was telling us how he designs some questions to just break the ice and how this has helped him to build trust. And this is something that he loves to share with us, how in one of these presentations and these icebreakers, he shared a picture of himself. It's the first picture right here. Just doing a hike and enjoying himself in the nature. And then his students starting kind of a meme around it. So now every time they had to present, they would also bring a picture of themselves doing a hike actually in similar spots. Doesn't seem to be the same exact place, but mimicking this example that he brought. This is a way, an informal way of creating this network of trust and how teachers and students feel that the relationship is more even rather than hierarchical. After this, he mentioned that with this exercise and bringing people together and trying to having a more open conversation with them, bringing also their personality and their personal lives into the classroom, then he felt that students are now more open to share their thoughts, raising their hands, sharing their ideas, and asking questions. So this is definitely something that in the long run impacts greatly into the success of our students. Good. So now let's get to see a few examples, practical examples, on then how are we going to design our presentations in order to create conditions for this sense of belonging. We just touch upon a few ones, and this one, for example, is about question of the day. How can we break the ice? Simply bring everybody together into the session, and also psychologically, if we start with an easy question that it's in a relaxed tone, we break that tension of maybe what we're going to discuss today is going to be so difficult, or I'm going to have so many questions, or I'm lost, I didn't even study it, what we did last time. So just start easy. That way, we bring people together. It's a way of also letting people catch up and just be on the same page at the right time when you're ready to start your lesson. Here are a few examples of what this question of the day could be and how to run it, of course. Here's where Mentimeter helps you a lot, because the anonymous responses will help you a lot. That means that nobody will be put in the spot, although we know that those that responded sunshine are not from Sweden. That we know. But anonymity will help you to also bring that sense of safetyness, and that students feel more open to share their thoughts. As I did today, you can read a few out loud. And by finding some of the patterns, today, for example, in our first question, we saw very big the relation between community and belonging, and how we can then later bring this connection into our topic. Good. Then we get enough resources now to bring people together as people into the teaching of the day. Start to understand where everybody is. Maybe if we get to see that there is a lot of worries, or that there is a positive mood or outcome, then you can adjust based on that. So set you up for success with the small U-turns that you can do at any time. All right, now is the time to understand how can we make this transition, how to bring more of a human-centered teaching into the classroom. And for this, well, we want to say, first of all, that it has to do a lot with the relationship and the responsiveness. So we spoke about some of the icebreakers now, but that doesn't mean that now you need to become an entertainer of your students. This is not what we want to achieve today. When we talk about human center, we want to especially bring that relationship or break that hierarchical relation in the classroom. We want to make the space even for everybody to feel safe and open to participate and learn from their peers at the same time. So that's the focus that we want to have. It's not really about making polls or questions just for the sake of, but it has to be intentional and meaningful. Therefore, we need to bring also structure and be careful with the type of questions we are asking. Consider that now you mentioned also in a few of your responses in my first question, how diversity, inclusivity matters. So also thinking about those things, and when we have such a diverse group, and in general, we have everybody thinks different ways, has different experiences. So to design questions that are also meant to bring that inclusivity into the classroom, rather than to make it evidence that we are very different from each other. So this is less about performing. We want to design conditions for participation, and we want to create more of these feedback loops. They need to be small, but they also need to be frequent. And they should, as I said, it has to be intentional. So then they should be tied to something that is related to your teaching and your lesson for today. Good. So let me know now, what's one moment in your classroom where participation often drops? This is a very good exercise. Then we can find out where the bottleneck is. Then we can address better questions and design better exercises in order to come with solutions. All right, here we're seeing, start seeing some responses. These breakouts. Exactly, this one is very popular, right? When we ask students if they have any question. All right, yes, during master class, I can imagine that in this format is usually the instructor or the teacher talking a lot. We have a few strategies for that, so you also can pace yourself and bring people into your conversation even if you will be, let's say, the main speaker for the classroom. All right, we have now a few questions. So this is a good opportunity to use our AI tools in Mentimeter. So we can press space or click on this button or go to the little light bulb that we have right here in the corner. And then we are going to choose groups. And now AI will do its magic and it's going to find for us different groups in these answers, what topics were more often entered here. There we go. So quite a few questions around direct questions. That's one moment when participation drops. And this is the classic example of, do you have any question? And that's silence. Or if you address one of the students, it can be perceived as very invasive or kind of putting them on the spot. I understand that. At the end of the session, good student confidence breakouts, complex materials, and presentations. Very good. Let's get to see what was said around, for example, breakouts. Oh, just that. Gradual decline. Good. So then we get to see that there are different moments where participation drops, and our goal probably as teachers is to have our students engage from the beginning to the end, isn't it? So therefore we can think about some strategies on how to design that participation in order to make it interesting, relatable, and of course inclusive at every part of the teaching session. So now let me know, what might make a student feel hesitant to speak up in class? What do you think that is preventing them from sharing their thoughts, questions, and opinions? Very good. We start seeing some answers here. Fewer mistakes. I'm really happy that you're bringing up a language barrier, because this is exactly one of the challenges that I was mentioning at the very beginning, and that I get to hear very, very often from our partners in higher education, how it is so productive and fruitful to have diversity in the classroom, people from all over the world, but definitely when we need to share openly and use our voices, not all of them may have probably the extent vocabulary to express themselves, and they feel many times, I must say, that it's mostly on their heads, and usually I find that the conversation flows regardless. But I can imagine that for the students might feel such a big challenge to speak their voices, and maybe feel that they will not convey their message, that it will come across as very confusing. Shyness, lack of confidence. I can imagine that that's a big barrier. Good. Self-confidence, little groups, exposure, for sure. So yes, I can imagine that you get to see a lot of this in your classrooms. And as I said, a lot of this is probably in our heads, and it's a normal human reaction to try to stay a little bit in the back. If you feel that you were not shy, or that if you the thing you want to share is not the right thing, right? Then you're only going to expose that you made a mistake. So I can understand these challenges and why students can feel that way. And that's one of the reasons why we like to use Mentimeter in an anonymous way. That way we can maximize the opportunities and really give everybody a chance to speak up. Good. Now, in order to continue in our how to create this sense of belonging, we bring yet another tip. And it's important to consider here to lower the cost of participation. You just mentioned how your students may feel shy, may feel not very confident about the way they want to ask their questions. And that's the social risk and the social price that we pay when we are in groups. So let's give students a low risk first step, like the questions that we used before, right? An icebreaker. There's not a right or wrong answer. This is just to bring us all together and get to know each other better, get to know where the majority is, if we can do something around that topic. For example, if many have questions around the same thing, then it's so evident that you are not alone in that boat, right? Many others are also wondering, what was it that we discussed the last time? Using anonymity early will also open up and show that you are more interested in the answer rather in the person that is giving the answer. So this makes all of those submissions and all of those responses equally valuable, because we are not measuring who said what. And we can also vote multiple ways to contribute. So we have in Mentimeter open-ended questions. We have the opportunity to vote. You can also design some exercises to work in groups first and then deliver as a group an answer here in Mentimeter. We can also use as a full presentation tool. You can also bring text, as I do today, for example, and simply leave some question marks, some guide for you to navigate the conversation, and then simply speak up on that. You can also discuss the results that we just saw. That's also one way of bringing the dialogue just on. Let's see how formative assessment is a good belonging practice, because it's not only about, I mean, at the end, the final goal that we have in our classroom is to see all of our students succeed, right? So now we have understood why belonging is important. How can we bring this together? And it's kind of like in a shallow or in the first step of this sense of belonging, where people will then be able to join us, kind of everybody be on the same page. But now we need to also bring some results, some impact and value to this way of working. So at the end, this will also impact in academic results when we use formative assessment. Now, let's think about this opportunity not just to check on learning and to make sure that, oh, okay, the majority understood because they got the right answer. But we really want to see and understand and use this opportunity actually to measure where everybody is. If there are more often than not questions around the curricula, for example, then it will be a good sign for you to either pace a little bit slower your lessons that you have in the future, or maybe you will find out that everybody is having a good time and it's actually understanding very clearly the topics. Then maybe we can speed up and cover even more things. The belonging grows when the course responds to students, so not at them. And this is where what I wanted to stress, that the results and the questions that you design should also impact not only positively to the students, but to you and the way you teach. So let's get some actionable insights out of these questions, not only just to have a nice dynamic in the group. Here, for example, how do you usually check for student understanding? We have a few options here. Maybe asking verbally, hands up, yes or no. Relying on final assignments, using interactive polls, or maybe you have some other method. You can drop that in our chat. We'd love to learn more. Yeah, so far we see, I like to see these results, and I want to stop here to just make this comment. How we are relying less and less in assignments and final examinations, let's say one stop just to measure if you learned or not. That, I think, it's such a positive change in education, because we don't need to wait until you have your one and only chance to pass this course. It's also giving you, the teacher, the opportunity to change the way you work and to find the right strategy in order to put everybody up for success. I think that at the end, no teacher wants to see the whole group fail. Very good. Love to see this empty space here. Good. Then we get to see that the majority is working, let's say, in a more traditional approach, asking questions, speaking up, and simply measure the temperature that way in the classroom. I see also the use of interactive polls. Hopefully, that means Mentimeter for you. And for those that drop in the chat, let me just quickly check if I can pick one for the quizzes. Journaling, love that. Precious Brown, that's a good strategy. I would love to hear more on that. Using Zoom to discuss, Zoom chat to discuss in private with individual students. That is good also, trying to create learning journeys that maybe are more personalized if you have smaller groups and have, of course, that opportunity. I'm thinking about maybe a big lecture that would be a challenge to address one by one. But for sure, it's something that I can see the value in that one. Thanks for your answers. Now let's go to understand then how can we do a two-question check-in and where should we put this? So we started right at the beginning of our classroom. We have our icebreaker with the purpose of bringing people together, simply break the tension or that hierarchical relationship that might be in our heads before starting our lesson. Then we can start doing some check-ins when it comes to formative assessment, let's say. If this is a new topic, maybe you want to understand how much your students already know about this topic. Maybe then you can measure yourself to see if you can deliver something a little bit more advanced, or should we start with the very basics? Going through mid-class, this is where we are now. Check on the knowledge that you have delivered already. So ask a simple question. How confident are you right now? What's still unclear? This will help you in particular to not go that quick or that fast or that slow, if that would be the case in your class. Then we wouldn't have to do repetitions maybe in 2-3 weeks. It's more affordable to spend maybe a couple more minutes on this topic rather than having to have this discussion again for a larger period maybe. I always recommend this question to my partners in higher education to ask after a very difficult session or lecture, just drop this question. If we had a final examination today, how confident are you that you will pass? Then this also puts the student into the position of having self-awareness and also be very critical with what they have understood and what not. And just thinking about if I would need to have my final exam today, probably I wouldn't pass. Then it also triggers, okay, why not? Why wouldn't I pass? Then think about the things that you didn't understood that you feel that you need a little bit more help with. Here again, having anonymous responses will help you a lot, and it will help also the students to see. It's also always eye-opening when you get to see that many have a similar or exactly the same question you had. Then you feel less lonely in that trouble. You can also start finding patterns in those answers and acknowledge those. That's totally fine. Same as I do, for example, in these questions, I get to see that we have different challenges, for example, in the classroom when it comes to drop of participation and acknowledging that you're not the only one. Adjusting then the pace or re-explain what might be unclear if that's a question that you ask. And you can have a quick strategy on this one. Either as a group, then you can decide, okay, maybe if 50-50 people, let's say 50-50 of the classroom have understood and the other half hasn't, then maybe let's work in groups. Statistically, you will find someone in your group that understood so that you can help your students to have some peer learning exercise. Or if you see that it's the vast majority that need help, maybe you can then take more of the lead instead of letting them lean in more into a self-exploration of the topic. Then you can create more of the guideline that you know would be more successful for them. And then if everybody has understood the work, maybe you can now trigger some more practical exercises. Now try to land this theory in some practical application, or write an essay around this on how would you use these concepts in order to maybe solve a problem in real life. Good. And last part of this one, how to make learning as social without forcing it. This is something that I get to hear a lot, and the skeptics may wonder. I'm not here to create the space where everybody needs to be friends. And that's not what this webinar is about, and it's also not what we want you to do or pursue. But definitely, it is proven that we get to learn from each other. So that's why I drop a few examples on how peer learning is such a great way of learning, not only for the students, but also for you. You will get to hear how different groups and different students will solve the same problem in so many different ways. And this can only be positive for the ways you teach too. So how can we exercise some good ways, impactful ways of working, let's say, socially in our learning strategy? You can set, for example, let them sit on their own for maybe a couple of minutes, 1, 2, to think about, reflect on a question that you may have in the screen, and then ask them to pair or create groups, 2, 3 people, or even larger groups, and discuss what they have reflected around the question that you asked them to respond to. Then, as a group, you will get to see if you are in the classroom, you can hear them discussing different things and how others probably didn't thought the same way. Then, as a group, they can together combine all of those thoughts and bring one other answer as a group all together. So there you have multiply the different ways of solving probably the same issue, and then also exercise this way of considering many other ways that probably if you just go for your way, you would have found out that there were easier ways, maybe. Work also in small groups and assign roles to them. The one that is a timekeeper, the one that is the summarizer, the one that will do the questions, for example. This is very helpful, for example, to address the different personalities that we have in the classroom. And this is to create this or lower that social price that we pay when we are in community. I always say that the price of being in a community is to sometimes being uncomfortable and do things that probably we wouldn't choose to do if we don't have to. But there are maybe some of those, and you mentioned that some of your students may be shy or they don't have the confidence to speak up in public. Then if we assign different roles, they still contributed because they work in that group, but maybe there is someone else that have the skills and also the willingness to take that role, while others will then contribute in different ways. This is also signaling that you don't have to be perfect, you don't have to excel in all of the skills, but there is something that you can still contribute with the skills you have. Good. Now let's bring insights into actions. This is something that I particularly think it's so useful when using Mentimeter, that you have these results and you can act on them. You can reflect on them, you can track over time. It's just great to see how data becomes something very impactful. When you get these slides, you will be able to download this template pack. So we have set you up for success already and help you with a few questions that you may drop in your next class. We have the question of the day, we have our mid-class confidence check, and this activity at the very end that it might be in pairs or smaller groups. So feel free to use them and let us know, how did you enjoy it? If you created any other question, if it served as an inspiration, or you actually use the ones that we suggested. That would be interesting to know. Time for questions now. We are at a very good time now to go through your questions. When I ask a question, am I anonymous to the lecturer or can they see my name? Well, this is a very good way of answering because it's practical. So then here you can see that it's anonymous if your Mentimeter has been set up that way, of course. Remember that all of the presentations in Mentimeter are anonymous by default. You may also remove that anonymity, but you will need to act on it. And today we have chose to have anonymous Menti. So your question today is anonymous to me and to the public too. Good. Is Mentimeter useful in small tutorial group settings? For example, 12 students or mainly for larger lecturers? I'm going to brag here and I will say that it's useful for almost any setting, or at least the settings that I've been presented to. Mentimeter has a good place for them. When working in pairs, it is true that we need to adapt a little bit our dynamic, and we need to understand how Mentimeter can come into it. But I did mention a few examples today, like working in pairs, simply discuss in that human traditional interactions that we have, and then bring together an answer to be then submitted via Mentimeter, for example. That is one good way. I also like to use in open-ended question, we can use the vote function. Then you can, if you don't have a lot of time, or you're maybe working on the distance and it's time consuming to create the breakout rooms, etc., then maybe you can use the vote function in order to let them decide on the question or in the answers that were submitted. And then together as a group, you can come up with one answer. Let me give you a more practical example on this. I always use this example. If we get to set, my question to you will be, what day of the week would you have to reserve as a no meetings day? Then you will drop your answers, right? I will see Monday, Tuesday, Friday, all of the days of the week. Then, of course, since we have a big diversity there, I would then turn on my voting function and let you vote. And then whatever day has the more votes, now as a group, we have committed to that decision. And that's one good way of doing group, coming to conclusions or to decisions in group settings. Hope this one works. But if you have something more specific or some activity that you deliver in group settings, let me know. And we can also discuss today on that one. All right. Thank you for saying we don't need to become entertainers. Sometimes I feel like there's pressure to do that. No, I get it totally. And I think that a part of the challenge is that also students are having higher expectations from their teachers, which is fair enough. I mean, you're here to get yourself an education and you want to get also a good outcome out of it. But truth is that the teacher doesn't have to have the responsibility to make you feel excited about this topic. We will go through, and you all went to university, and I'm sure there was this one class and this one topic that you simply did not like. But it was part of the curriculum. We have to go through it. And the responsibility or the job of the teacher is to showcase the value of it. So if we're doing all of this icebreaker, it's simply to give everybody the opportunity to come into the same session together, feeling that there is openness in this group to have questions and comments shown. But definitely it's not to make your classes now your favorite time of the day. Hopefully it is, but maybe it won't. And I think that shouldn't be criticized in the classroom for sure. Good. The Mentimeter has limitation depending on which plan you use, free plus paid. Well, we have different pricing for the tool, and it does come with some tools that are especially for different plans. But the majority of our features are actually available in our free plan too. So maybe you want to tell me a little bit more on what exactly would you like to do? We can tell you what plan could fit best for those needs.
I will also share the kind of plans overview page that we have on our website in the live stream chat in case anyone wants to dig into specific features or anything that might be interesting to them.
Thank you, Ostra. All right, good. We have gone through all of our questions now. So before we go, we want to wrap up and have some conclusions out of this session today. Hopefully you get out of here understanding that belonging is a practice. It's not something that is given, but you need to act on it together with your students. We can practice this one with a small intentional moment in your sessions. Not all of your sessions have to have 7,000 interactive questions. Some of them you will need to have, as you mentioned before, in big lectures. Maybe the teacher needs to take the lead in these type of classes. But that doesn't mean that we cannot open up for the conversation by checking, for example, if now I have spoken for 20 minutes. Is there anything that is not clear here? It's also giving you the opportunity to pause a little maybe and reassess where are we going with the next few minutes that is left on the class. When students feel that they belong, the learning follows. Then it feels that I have the opportunity to come and ask the questions I have. I can be sure that my teacher has kind of like the consideration that we have, maybe the semester is for 4 to 5 months. And in that time, it's good to have these regular check-ins just to know where should we focus when it comes to the final examinations, for example, knowing that my teacher is also there to help me succeed. When faculty feel supported, innovation follows. Definitely we see not only happier students, but also happier teachers that get to enjoy more of their classes when we see this conversation flowing. The worst nightmare is definitely this scenario where you ask if anyone has a question and no one is coming back to you. It's like talking to the wall, and even it's now amplified if you get to do it this remotely. Then it feels that you're just talking to the screen 1 hour straight and no one received the message. So to have also this conversation will help you as an academic to become a better in your teaching strategy, and be sure and reassure often that the way you are working is the right way. And of course, one final reminder that this session it's being recorded. You will get the video, and you also will get the deck and the template to help you getting started with practicing belonging in your classroom. Good. Before we go, if you're interested in exploring Mentimeter for your institution, do not hesitate to drop us there. We have a form for you, so now you have the opportunity to let us know there. I see that we have one new question, so I would leave this slide here while you drop us some information if that's what you want. And let me check. Yes?
Just one comment on if anyone's interested in filling out the form, it asks for your work email, but that is not going to be visible to anyone else who's here today in this session. It will only be visible to Marlene and myself. So just a comment.
Thanks for that. Very important. So yes, the information you share is not showing to the rest of the public. Good. Can we embed Mentimeter task in PowerPoint? We can definitely bring Mentimeter into PowerPoint. We have a really good integration with this tool. We know that you get to work a lot with PowerPoint, or probably you have all of your materials already there. And then you might face the situation where you need to switch screens or have multiple things to do at the same time. So yes, you can bring Mentimeter to it. Maybe Astra can drop us the link to the help article on how to do that. All right, good. Wait, we went out of our presentation. There we go. Before we go, of course, we are here to help you, and there are many places how you can reach out to us. Our help center is a very vast library. Literally every single feature that we have in Mentimeter is described there. In many parts, you will find video tutorials to help you navigate the tool exactly at your own pace. Visit our blog. Here we have stories of success, such as the one that we presented today, Daniel Roca, our teacher that is working with Mentimeter to create this sense of belonging in his classes, and many other stories. Maybe your university is already there or it's about to be. Let us know, and we are always happy to show how more and more universities are succeeding with Menti. Check out also our templates, something that I get to you hear very often from beginners and people that are just starting with Mentimeter is that they find sometimes complicated to think about the right answer or what type of slide should I use. Do not worry, because we know the struggle. So we have created a really nice library of templates to give you inspiration if you want to see some examples, or maybe you will find that exactly what you needed, it's already done. So then just copy and it's going to be ready to go. If you have more of a technical question, you can always reach out to us to the email address that you see on the screen, or while you are in mentimeter.com, you will have a black chat bubble where you can get in touch with human customer service, and they will help you in no time. We have the best in the business, so I'm sure that you will get an answer right away. All right, before we go, let me know, after learning today how to create the sense of belonging in your classroom, what small thing you will try in your next class. And also, if you want to drop us some feedback on today's session, it's always welcome. So the stage is yours. Good to see the questions of the day are becoming popular. Confidence check. Definitely, I do recommend this one. And maybe we can drop Ostra, the help article on trends, because then you can track over time. If you ask the same question, I don't know, maybe every 2 weeks or every month, then you can see how your students may feel more or less confident depending of what was the lesson, for example, that you taught. Questions to build trust. Looking our templates. Oh, thanks for that. We love to see that we are producing the right materials for you. Think per share. Really nice. Good. Well, exercise on this one and let us know how it goes. As you see, we love to put our partners on the spot when they are happy with the tool. So same as we spoke today about Daniel Roca, maybe your name will be in our next webinar. And you can also help other academics and other teachers to get some inspiration on how to create the sense of belonging in the classroom. Very good. Thanks for today. And well, we are here to help you, and you'll hear from us to get the recording and the slides after this session. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.